You.
You? I'm fine, thank you.
Okay.
And
Hello,
yourself?
welcome to here. I'm okay. I'm here with Beth and Noel, but I think they're going to join separately.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. You got a bit of
Did you
company
see?
there.
Did you see that Matthew's not going to make it today?
I didn't know, but that's great. Thank you for letting me know.
He's catching up on sessions.
Oh, okay. Cool. Beth, how are you? Hello.
Can you hear me? I won't unmute because I think we'll get an echo. Hi.
Great. I think we can probably hear, if you just have one lot of sound in there, we can probably hear whoever speaks.
Let's
But
do
you
a
can
quick
all,
test, shall we? Should we
yeah,
just go and say
Can you
hello?
hear me?
yeah,
Yeah. Yes, you can probably hear me.
I can, Noel. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Any highlights from this week? What are we celebrating? Did people have a bit of time off recently? Or if not, any highlights?
My husband's niece has just said that they're coming to stay for Christmas.
Yay! Is that yay or not?
No, it is a yay, but normally it's just me and my husband, and we have a really quiet Christmas. We don't have to do any shopping, we don't have to do anything, so it's going to be manic, but I think it's a yay.
It's a yay, especially why not delegate a little bit as well? Why not, tell them what to bring?
Well, they have offered, but they're coming from Kent with a little 5-year-old
Oh,
child, so
oh.
I'll let them off.
Well, good for you. That's really lovely. Hi, Di. What about you? What have you got going on?
Hi, Laura. Well, I just got back from Stuttgart, which is fun to say. It's even fun just to say Stuttgart, but even more than that, myself and my wife Kath were at the 24/7 prayer gathering. So yeah, it was great. I came back on Sunday. It's a nice couple of days out there.
Lovely. What's your take home from that prayer gathering? Because I know some young
Praying
people
is
that were
good.
there.
Praying's good.
Brilliant.
That came up.
Brilliant.
Um, uh, yeah, no, yeah. Honestly, I think there was a big point about yeah, next generation actually. So it's interesting you picked up on that. Did you watch it online?
No, we had some youngsters from our church that just went at the last minute. They just said, "We're going," and went. Isn't that
Oh
great?
wow, yeah. No,
Yeah.
there was a big emphasis on that. Yeah, there was a shout out for Bible Society as well and Quiet Revival, which
Ah,
is really good. So that happened a couple of times, but yeah, no, really, really encouraged. And was yeah, quite inspired by the sort of family feel of 1,100 people from all over the world, actually. So I think, yeah, they've got a sort of DNA that is working. So yeah, I was really encouraged by that.
good. Stuttgart, or however you like to say it. I love it. Katie Tang, tell us about you. What are you celebrating today? Any highlights?
What am I celebrating? Oh, hang on. Sorry. I've made the vital error of unmuting. I am celebrating, well, probably a church-related thing. I went to a worship night on Friday night, and
Nice.
that was pretty life-giving. I did not want to go because I wasn't in a very good frame of mind, but I
Mhm,
went
mhm, mhm.
against my own judgment.
Mm,
And I
mm.
actually came away feeling much better. So I'm celebrating that.
Brilliant.
Love that,
Brilliant.
Katie. My husband often says sometimes you have to just let the physical lead. And you did. You just got yourself there. And yeah, I love it. I'm with you. Sometimes you just don't feel like it, but it's so good, so life-giving. Abby, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah.
Good. Anything to celebrate, big or small?
Um, yeah, I mean, this might be too much information, but I went to the hospital this morning, got my boobs checked, and it's all fine.
Yay! Awesome stuff. Love it. Well done. Well done. A weight off your chest, shall we say?
Literally, yeah.
Laura, Laura.
Sorry, cheesy jokes you will get for free here.
Love
Kate,
that.
how about you?
It's been one of those days where it's a bit like, oh, I'm struggling to think of a good celebration. But I
Okay.
will celebrate this. I have a lovely little electric heated blanket,
Ooh.
which you can either wear like this if you want to look like a Viking, or you can just prop it on various places of your back where you may be in pain. So very grateful for that. And they're
Love
from
it.
Little and they're currently on sale if anyone needs one.
I'm
And
checking that out.
yeah, middle of little. Yeah, I love it, Kate. Well done. Right, well, we are here. Let's kick off and make sure this time is well worth it. I hope you enjoyed these two tools. They are two, Claire and I were just talking yesterday. We probably say this every week. They were two of our favourites. We absolutely love these tools. And we're just going to bounce straight in now to the screen share so you can actually just see what I am looking at. That's coming in a minute. Okay, so here is my paraphrase of this verse from Ephesians. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, accidental, but as wise, intentional, making the most of every opportunity. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, accidental, but as wise, intentional, making the most of every opportunity. Stuart, just give me a shake of the head or a nod of the head, whether that works, that interpretation. Do we feel that? Yeah, okay, we got. I'm going to take that. I think it pretty much works. It is theologically accurate enough, according to Stuart, and that's good enough for me. Okay, so what does this mean, and why are we talking about intentionality and accidentalness? Well, it's because of this tool, 5 Circles of Influence. And Jeremy invited you on the video to imagine that there is a dimmer switch on your back, and it goes up for intentionality and it goes down when you're accidental. So it's like gravity will pull it down. Naturally, there will be certain spheres in which we are just accidental by nature. We just wake up in the morning, and unless we deliberately pull up that dimmer switch, we will be accidental with those things. So we want to be intentional people. We want to live as people who are wise, people who make the most of every opportunity. So that begins in that middle of the bullseye, the target right there, the self. So I hope that you enjoyed doing this exercise and just thinking through each of these spheres of influence and asking yourself, am I intentional in this space? So with myself, am I intentionally thinking through what are the conditions I need to live well? Now, this is where we layer this tool on top of that lovely tool that we've looked at in depth, which is called the Support Challenge Matrix. And that's the one where we think about liberation as a calibration of support and challenge, of high support and high challenge. If we're being intentional, then we'll make sure that we're bringing ourselves high support, high challenge, and that area becomes green. But if we're being accidental, we might only have one element, support or challenge, or we might have neither, and we might be in abdication. That can happen when we're tired, when we're run down, when we're disappointed, and so on. So the question is, where would you put yourself for each of these spheres? So we've started with self and we're moving outside. What about your family? Are you being intentional with your family, or are you being accidental? Think about those key people in your family. That might be your partner, that might be children if you have them, it might be wider family as well, your parents as well. Some of us might have elderly parents who have needs. Other family members as well can be very close to us as well that are in the wider family. And you can think about each member of that family that's very close to you. How intentional am I being? Am I bringing them support? Am I bringing them challenge? Or am I actually leaving it down to chance and being accidental? So think about those maybe 2 or 3 key members of your family and where you'd put yourself with them, intentional or accidental. And then you keep moving out. So team, think of the key members of your team. With your team as a whole, so your team, when you get them together as a group, are you being intentional about the time you have? Are you just rattling through the to-do list? Or are you thinking, how can I make sure these people keep growing? And also your team as individuals as well. There might be a member of that team who, if you're honest, you just avoid them a bit. They're a bit annoying, they've been disappointed, so you just kind of sidestep them. Maybe you're being abdicating a little bit there. Or maybe you're bringing them lots of support, but you know that there's broccoli in their teeth, but you're not going there with them because it's just too much hassle. So think about your team, maybe 3 or 4 of your key members of your team. And then it goes wider, the organisation as a whole. For you guys, that will be Bible Society. As an organisation, are you interacting with other team members? Are you going along to the gatherings? Do you have good relationships with other people? Are you speaking well of Bible Society with others outside the organisation, and so on? And then we go to the community. What community roles do you have? Now, for some people, they have such big roles elsewhere that doesn't leave much for the community. That's okay. You might just ask yourself, am I a good neighbour? Do I greet my neighbours on dog walks when I'm out and about in the local town? Others will have roles in their community. So you might be on the PCC of your church. You might be a governor at a local school. You might volunteer in a charity shop once a month or so. Or you might be other roles like volunteering with kids' work and so on, and litter picking, things like that. So where would you put yourself with your community? Are you calibrating support and challenge there? So just have a think about what you put last time. Hopefully you've got the notes to hand, and have a little look at where you think you would put yourself, whether it's accidental, intentional, you can use that language, or you can use the language of support, challenge as well. Okay, and then what we're trying to do is we're trying to move to a place where every single area turns green. Every area turns green. And you'll notice from this shading that the darkest, most intense shade is in the middle sections. And that's because if you think about Jesus' teaching, love your neighbour as yourself, you can only love your neighbour to the degree to which you help yourself. If you're not liberating yourself, there will be somewhere else where you're not liberating as well. You won't have enough to pour out that you need. So start with yourself and your family and so on, and work outwards. So just say you've got a few rings that aren't liberated, prioritize the ones that are nearest to the center. So pick one or two that you would like to talk about shortly, about how you might want to be liberated there. And that leads us to this quote from the theologian Bono himself: get out of your own way. Once you've decided what you need to do to liberate, once you've thought about which area needs liberation, then we need to bring intentionality to bringing ourselves up out of our own way. So we're going to come to that shortly. I'll leave that with hanging while we discuss, first of all, that first tool, and then we'll do know yourself, lead yourself with the second part, because it pairs really well with core process. Any questions on 5 circles of influence? I imagine there's loads to talk about there. Key questions in your pairings now, Claire, if you can get the breakout rooms ready, you probably already have, would be, what have you given yourself for each of those circles of influence? Are you intentional or accidental? And if you can layer the support challenge matrix, what would you give yourself? Which zone, which quadrant, and which are liberated? So start with celebrating which are liberated circles, and then say which ones actually need some intentionality, and you can start to work towards a solution. But for now, we're just getting clear on which ones need work and why. Okay? In your pairs, that's what's to discuss. See you soon.
Do you need to know who's in the room
1 second.
physically?
Yeah, just give me 1 second. I had to move some people around because I'd put the wrong Katie in with Abby and Stuart. So
Oh, well done.
hopefully-
That's fine. Well done. Thanks, Claire. See you all in a minute. Thank you. Claire, are you clear on which rooms people are in now for the next breakout, Ace? Okay, so Beth, you go first as a nurturer. Tell us which, if you're happy to share. She's not here. Okay, Katie Tang.
Oh no, I can.
She's here.
Oh, she is. Sorry, Beth.
I am here.
What's going on today? There's a demon at work.
That's fine. We didn't really discuss anything. We were trying to
No, I'm sorry. We're going to discuss
That's
now for a
fine.
few minutes. Just
I think,
let's all just get clear on one circle where you'd like to, where you know, actually one circle where you're intentional and one where you'd like to bring more intentionality.
So I would say that obviously the ones where you've got specific deadlines and commitments
Yeah.
have a priority for me. So things like work, obviously work has to get done and it's got a set time. So that would take priority over kind of family and self. So those are the ones where I'd need to be more intentional, or it would fall into being accidental and not having as much time commitment behind it.
Right. So you're patting yourself on the back because you're intentional with work, but
Yeah.
sometimes those spheres come before self and family, and that's just something you've become aware of. That's really valuable reasoning and data, Beth, to have looked at. Great. So just hold that thought. We'll look at solutions shortly. Stuart, how about you?
Yeah, I think for me, also intentional about work, also with self. But I find with family, because I live on my own, so my family's slightly more dispersed, I can be more accidental. Particularly, I think I'm noticing that more now with the fact I've got a 1-year-old nephew, my own nephew. Yeah, I should be more intentional about, supporting my sister. I do support it, but seeing him more as he gets older, because he's only one once, and also community. So I'm busy often with work, that I don't get as involved in community as I'd like to. I'd like to provide more, certainly more support in the arenas that I'd like to be involved in, the night shelter and things like that, but I just can't find the time. And I'd like certainly to bring challenge to local politicians. Would very much like to do that, but yeah, I don't.
Very good, Stuart. Thank you for that. That's really helpful. Okay, Rachel, tell us about yourself.
I'm just going to bow out for a minute because I've got a safeguarding issue. I just need to.
Okay. Okay. See you soon. See you the other side. Katie Tang, tell us.
Interestingly, I was looking at it a completely different way until Beth shared. Sorry. And now it makes way more sense to me. So I think I am very intentional with work, probably the same sort of reasons. And I am very accidental with myself and family, because work always feels like it takes precedent. Less so extended family, more so husband. I feel like work can take over evenings, and then I'm sort of accidental in that space at home. But I also find at work it can be a bit of both, in that my intentionality is often steered towards the stuff I've got to get done rather than my team, because there's so much to do. I almost have no choice but to come accidental in terms of investing in them and liberating them, because I'm trying to get so much stuff intentionally done in terms of project work. So I find that really difficult.
Yeah,
to know
really
what
good
to do about that. But
okay, great. And that could be said, that's your allegiance to the organisation in your role, and that's sort of taking precedence, and there's no judgment. You've got certain things you've got to do, but that's taking precedence over self, family, and team as well. So that's extra sort of layer to it, Katie, as well. That sometimes organisation can trump team as well. Interesting, like it. Noelle, how about you?
I think a lot of them are mixed for me. I can be both, but I think the ones that stood out as not being as mixed were organization. I think I do things that are organization wide, and I think about those things, but those are more accidental. I feel like they more come to me than I try and go to them. So that's one that I would say that's different from like my team, but just like the whole organization. And I think community. I am very intentional with my community, I think, especially in thinking about church stuff, and then also just my town. I think that's something I'm naturally much more intentional about and spend a lot of time on. And then the other three, self, family, and team, I feel like I'm in the middle with all of those. I don't know if they distinctly stand out as being one or the other.
Thank you. That's really helpful to hear. Di, how about you?
Yeah, great question. So I think for family, I put down that I was intentional in terms of Kath and my mum, who's been recently retired. And so I think I found myself being a lot more intentional with her since she's been retired than I was before. Even if that's just kind of semi-regular kind of catch-ups on the phone. And I thought I was a brilliant husband, being incredibly intentional with Kath. But then Katie mentioned about how she, kind of takes work home with her in the evenings. And I thought, oh yeah, I do that. So maybe I'm not as intentional as I thought I was. So maybe work to do there. But I think kind of intentional overall, probably with family. I think community, definitely kind of gets knocked down. It definitely becomes more accidental depending on seasons of life and what's kind of happening, work, ministry stuff. So I think that's something I'm mindful of that I can be very accidental in that space. Yeah.
Good. So one to be aware of. It is on one of the outer circles.
So they
it's
don't
not,
matter.
It does matter.
Forget about them.
But not at the expense, not at the expense of anyone else. It can sometimes be easiest, can't it, to do our best work in the community or up front on a stage somewhere or on social media. And actually the person right in front of us isn't necessarily, I'm speaking to myself, isn't necessarily getting the best of us or getting our intentionality. So that's good. Abby, what have you got?
That I was intentional with my family, but I don't know if it's accidental or not. I have no choice. My kids require so much because they are both neurodivergent, and so is my husband. They all are, even the dog, I think. So I don't know if it's accidentally intentional, like I just have to be, or whether I don't enjoy it.
They make you be intentional, do they, Abs?
They do. I've got no other choice. Otherwise, it's utter chaos. So I put intentional, but I don't know if it is. I don't know if I'm accidentally intentional or not really. And then there was a lot of mixed, like a bit kind of like Noelle, really, in terms of self. I try and do stuff for me, like I do the comedy thing, which is for me. But then everything else is just sort of whatever happens. I'm just sort of. I think it's a real mum thing. It sounds like I keep going on about my kids, but I don't think it is. It kind of loves in the pecking order. I thought I was rubbish in the community, but then you said about some stuff, Laura, and I was like, oh yeah, I do that. So I like volunteer at Beavers and stuff, and I have
valid.
So
huge. Well, I think it sounds like you're not giving yourself enough credit. You're not giving yourself enough credit there. There's lots of intentionality I can hear. But I remember you did say in one of the sessions about your team. That you weren't bringing enough challenge, or you were sort of abdicating a little bit or avoiding someone. So I think perhaps just be mindful of where that's at now. Has that now calibrated the support with the challenge? Be aware of that one.
That was a mixed one for me. I think there's definitely things that I have been very intentional about. There's other things that is still sort of rolling on. So I think it's still a bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah, good. And maybe also at home, even though your husband and your kids are neurodivergent, and I have a husband and a kid who's neurodivergent as well, so is just thinking, even though you have to be intentional there, are you bringing enough support, but also are you bringing enough challenge as well? Are there boundaries that, particularly as people get older and as things change, are there boundaries as well that can help you to liberate yourself? So it might be a question to leave hanging in the air for you today. Kate, what have you got?
I did it actually using the colors for each circle. But I think that they kind of correlate. So I gave myself a red, which probably is quite accidental. And I think it was, I really have really high expectations. And I realized this week, I'm not giving myself any support. I'm just being really hard on myself a lot.
Yes.
So that's what I'm doing. And then I had greens, which I'd say would be the intentional, was for family and organization. So feel like, I think I could probably lean more into challenge for both of them, but there is an element of that. So there is a piece of intentionality towards that for those ones.
Okay, good. That's great. So can everyone keep in their mind which sphere they really need to bring some more intentionality into? And why that's the case, because that's where we're going to pair it with this next tool, the know yourself to lead yourself. And here's another helpful quote from the Bible, lots of Bible today, because it's just so helpful and relevant. Always let others see you behaving properly, even though they may still accuse you of doing wrong. Then on the day of judgment, they will honor God by telling the good things they saw you do. I really like that. Always let others see you behaving properly, even though they may still accuse you of doing wrong. Let them see you being intentional. Let them see you recognizing your tendencies and not doing something that is continually triggering to others. Because then even though they may accuse you of doing wrong, thinking wrong, your Christianity isn't relevant or whatever, actually there may well be, this verse suggests there may well be lots of people who actually will have grown to honor God over the years because they've seen your good conduct and have concluded that God is alive in you, which is exciting, isn't it? What an opportunity to witness through your own intentionality. So let's go to the Know Yourself, Lead Yourself circle as well from here. And you may have seen this, the tool looking like this on the video, but I've just tried to simplify it slightly with our version, because otherwise you can get a bit stuck going on the figure of 8 when actually they want you to follow the flow around the outside. So follow the flow around the outside. Where this tool starts is with our tendencies. What do we do when we're accidental? And let's just do that with regard to self. So I was coaching someone earlier and they said, my tendency is to bring myself high challenge and low support. And I think probably lots of you can relate to that, having heard some of your feedback just now. So what does that lead to? What kind of actions does that lead to? It leads to you saying things in your mind like stupid or idiot or, oh, you've got that wrong again. You know, hearing your self-talk can sometimes be quite a good clue as to which quadrant you're in with yourself. And what consequences does that have? Well, it can stop you actually from acting in freedom. Claire's a therapist and she often talks about a phrase, limiting beliefs. It's a limiting belief, fear, is on what you can do. So maybe the consequence of dominating yourself is you don't put yourself forward for something, you don't take a chance in a new friendship, or you just constantly can't bring your best. You feel exhausted because you're having to fight that battle in your head all the time. And the reality is that perhaps you're not where you wished you would be. You know, you're not in a position you're in. You're not actually living the life you are. You're not getting the rest you want because you are dominating yourself. So I was with this person this morning and they came up with a small pattern change. What can we do to make sure that this tendency, even though it will always be with us, no longer reaps the rewards it once did? It no longer it has the harvest it once did. Well, we put in a stopgap, we put in an intervention, and all we do is we make a small pattern change. So what he is committed to doing between now and when I see him next is he's going to do an examine at night. So he's going to literally get his journal. I said to him, how's your journaling? He said, it's gone by the wayside. I said, I can tell. If you're dominating yourself, it's gone by the wayside. We can't rely on other people on their own to support us. We have to prioritize self-support first of all. And how can we do that? Well, celebration is a really great habit. So every night I write down in my diary 3 well done me's, okay? And I just literally take up 2 lines in a diary. Tick, here's the first one. Tick, here's the second one. Tick, here's the third one. And if you want to bring yourself some challenge as well, put an exclamation mark. This is something I've learned today. This is an area I'd like to do better. And I do that every day. 3 ticks and an exclamation mark. Okay. So be trying to think, how can I bring myself support? Just be thinking of your own small pattern change for whichever circle you have put yourself in right there. Another one that I could talk to you about is family. Lots of us mention family. So in the past, James and I discovered when we first learned this tool years ago, our tendency would be to finish work for Christmas and whoever's we were going to for Christmas, whether it was my in-laws or his in-laws, we'd arrive there absolutely exhausted, flat out, with very little to offer. Asking, right, where's the beer, where's the puzzle, give us some, you look after us, you make us feel better. And we realized that this was not acceptable. Actually, that was really accidental and we weren't bringing our best. So we decided that we were going to try to deliberately slow things down before a break so that we could not fall off a cliff and we could actually show up in a way that was healthy for them and for us. And over the course of those years of me trying to do that, and being more intentional in general with my wider family, I would say that my relationship with my older sister Jen has flourished to the point where she is one of my best friends now, and just someone I really, really value. And that's because not only at those Christmas times, but it began with that at other times as well, I've just pulled up that dimmer switch of intentionality and I've reaped the rewards of a wonderful friendship there, as well as a family member. I never thought that was possible in the way that it is. So not all of my family relationships are that hunky-dory, but you can, if you bring some intentionality to spaces, you can see very quick rewards and quick wins when you are intentional. So that's the Know Yourself, Lead Yourself tool. And I think you can probably see clearly how it maps to core process. It is the same thing, actually. So we call it, that's where we say, which sphere of influence needs my attention? Or which tendency can I see? Or which reality do I want to change? And then the own it is, what am I doing or what am I not doing that is contributing to this issue? Okay, so for me, calling it was, I'm not being intentional with my family. Own it. I am exhausted when I go home for Christmas. Response, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to create a ramp in so that I can show up well. Execute. What does execute mean? It usually involves me taking out my diary. It usually involves me opening up my schedule and blocking things out, or setting my deadline. Rather than setting my deadline 20th of December to get that big thing in, I'm going to pull that a week forward. I'm going to set that on the 13th, get that done, even though that's going to be a hard graft. And then I'm going to do some more menial things in that following week of work, just so that I can show up more graciously and with more liberation for others. Okay, so that's an example. Execution is the when in particular, but it's the detail piece. So all of our core processes will be better if we try to get to the absolute detail. What exactly, not just a general response, but what exactly am I going to do to make a difference to this sphere of influence in my life? Okay, any questions? I know that's quite a lot. We're mapping quite a few tools together today, 4 in total, but I know you're all very high achieving, so you can cope with it. Any questions on any of the tools? No, great. Well, let's go to the breakouts, and it's all going to go beautifully now in the name of Jesus. See you soon. Well done, Claire. You have nailed it. Yeah, I'm going to take it. Katie Tang, why don't you start us off? Is that okay? What are your thoughts? Have you got yourself to a place of finding a small pattern change?
Yeah. I have a tendency to want to people please, which I think is also an issue with my ability to be intentional in some places I want to be, because I have a tendency to not want to say no. Yeah. So I feel myself wanting to help people and not let them down is a pattern. But the action is then I take on the work or the meetup when I don't have time to do it. The consequence is I get run down, I'm tight for time, and I can't be intentional in other places. So for me, I think the pattern change is trying to catch that. If I feel like I'm stretched, but I'm still wanting to people please, it's like, how can I catch that?
Wow.
Do it in a way that isn't going to make me feel really anxious about saying no.
Excellent. Really good. So have you got any ideas of what you might do in that moment? And is it something, is it a reaction that you're doing quickly saying yes to something, or are you waiting and then saying yes?
I think I respond too quickly.
Respond too quickly. So so the small pattern change is to pause and pray, maybe pause and just reflect on whether that works. Is that actually something that serves you? And I know people who have the 5 circles up somewhere or have it on a screen and remind themselves, if I am not liberating myself, I just won't have enough for other people. So for you lovely people, remembering that actually you're doing this for others. You're doing this so that when you do show up, you show up really well. And so you can love and serve those people who are most close to you as well. Love that, Katie. And I think that's probably one that lots of us can relate to, is pausing before we agree to doing yet another thing. Really good. Okay, Stuart, let's go to you next.
I had a very similar discussion. Well, we discussed a number of things together, but with a common theme. And I had an example from today, which Beth helped me with. Gives me a very concrete way of breaking that cycle. Which was I was asked if I would go to Lincolnshire on Sunday in the evening to staff the Bible course stall at an event, because nobody else seems to be free to go. But I'm flying to Hungary Monday morning leaving my place in Swindon about 4 o'clock. And I wouldn't get back from Lincolnshire until about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. But I knew I was about to say yes because nobody else could do it, and I just had to suck it up and deal with it. But Beth just very calmly verbalized, I don't think that's a good idea. And that gave me the strength to say, no, I can't do it. So, yeah, I mean, I think whether it's me or somebody else, verbalizing something is really quite powerful. Helps you to break the cycle.
Excellent. So actually saying to yourself, before I say yes, I'm just going to tell this other person and just reflect it off them. Do you think this is a good idea? And pick that and you pick that person very wisely with Beth as well. So well done. Great. So we've got two really good interventions already, haven't we? Pausing and taking time and bouncing the idea off someone else as well before we go ahead. Let's go now to Rachel, if she's here. She's not here. Let's go now to Di.
Yeah, no, thank you, Laura. I was just making notes. Just super helpful stuff from these guys. So yeah, really good conversation with Noelle. We kind of picked similar things. So my thing was perfectionism, and I think I don't like sending something through when it's in its developing stage. And I think there's elements of that which is good. I think there's a pride thing of taking pride, in my work and putting an expectation on myself of a standard that I want to meet. That I do think helps create content of a good standard, but it's also a sense of that kind of vulnerability piece of sharing something that's not finished. And I think it's probably a sense of not wanting to feel judged on something that is not the finished article, because if that's not good, it kind of connects to your identity, and it's like, well, maybe that has a effect on my self-worth and identity. So there's something there that I feel kind of compelled to be like, I'll send it to you once it's finished. And there's a live example of, I feel like I'm being more intentional with this new team that I'm in. So there's myself and there's a couple of other writers in it as well. And I've sent them a piece that I've just worked on, but I sent it to them once it was finished. So there was no kind of sense of, yeah, guys, what would you change? I wasn't asking that question. I was going, guys, this is the finished thing. You better like it. So I think it's a vulnerability piece. I do kind of share stuff that is unfinished with certain people, who are kind of trustworthy voices and who I feel safe with. But there's definitely a sense of I can be more intentional with that, bring people in earlier, and have that sort of security of, not judging myself based on the finished product when it's in the unfinished space.
Brilliant. So that's about inviting collaboration, but also perhaps a health warning is be careful about who you invite. Like, who are those people who you trust? Jeremy gave a good example, didn't he, on the video of just pick one person to share it with when it's not in its finished, when it's in its finished form. Well, great, because you've done some good work there, Di, getting clear on the why, and that's really helping lead you towards the next step. Kate, what have you got?
We reflected on a couple of things, but perfectionism was also one that sort of came up for us. And I think coupled with like a self-inner critic thing going on, which is quite challenging. But for me, I feel like it's something that I feel like I've learned how to do quite well at work. And for me, it was basically that, like, inviting collaboration in. And for me, it was important because then I can receive feedback. Like, if I send you a piece of work that I'm still proud of, I know it's only 80% like done though, then when people come with suggestions and feedback, I'm not like mortally wounded because I think I've sent over my like perfect love child that they're now trying to give feedback on. So I feel like I've kind of not mastered. That's what I do in work. I find it quite easy now. I do work that I know I'm proud of, but I know it's not perfect. And so it's really easy and my heart's really open to get feedback. But perfectionism perfectionism in my personal life is still a struggle. And it's the example I gave Claire is so silly. We need to buy a tumble dryer. And we've been trying to buy a tumble dryer for 3 months, and we can't make a decision about like the tumble dryer that we need to buy because, and it's so silly. Like it's, you know, £50 difference one way or another, or kilograms of, you know, but it feels like so weighty. And so for me, it just sits on my to-do list, like always hovering, always annoying me that we haven't done this thing. So my action is kind of going to be maybe to set myself some deadlines, because that's kind of, I think, what makes it easier at work, because you know you've got short defined projects, you've got deadlines, you've got things that have to be done, so you have to get them done. And in my personal life, we just haven't. So it's just been hanging because we haven't said we need a tumble dryer by this date. Although the rain is now really nudging us into that corner.
Yes, excellent. Kate, I think that's inspired, having a deadline. Some personalities, it's actually 50% of people need a deadline to do their best work.
Yeah.
To do their most creative work. They get a buzz of creativity before the deadline. So it might be that decision is not going to become clear until literally the sort of 13th hour. So go for the deadline. That's a great one. Good idea. Noelle, what have you got?
Maybe get someone else to set the deadline, because when I set myself deadlines, I go, it's not a real deadline.
Yes, so accountability with
We're
someone
aiming to
else.
Black Friday at the moment, Di, because that's where we're expecting some good sales.
Katie, you need to get it done. End of the week.
Yeah, Black Friday is a good shout. It's not far off. Noelle, what have you got?
Mine's a bit similar to Di's, but I was
going to say it's not about a tumble dryer. It can't be. That would not be. That would be too much of a coincidence.
Oh no.
Go ahead.
No, mine is about it's a bit similar because it's about working independently. So I think my tendency is to do things by myself. And I think the reason I have that tendency is I have a belief which isn't right, or that I can get things done faster and better if I just myself. And I also think I'm very prone to efficiency. Like I want things to happen and just get done. And so I think I was saying the reality of that is that there's a lot of missed opportunity because we have a lot of creativity and amazing things on our from people on our team, and when I don't bring that in, I think there's missed opportunity for what I'm creating. And so I think my action, I said to Di, is to have patience with projects that they don't need to always just get done, and maybe valuing efficiency a bit less even. I was actually thinking as we were talking that I don't think Jesus was always efficient. Sometimes he seems very inefficient in the way he goes about doing things. And so while I do like efficiency, maybe just remembering that drawing people in can actually make something better.
So good, Noelle. I absolutely love that. I'd love to say more, but I'm going to move on because we want to hear from everyone. Beth, what have you got?
So tendency is probably to feel guilty because I can't do everything in every area because that isn't enough time. So yeah, just feeling like I don't give enough time to everyone else because I've got 3 children, a husband, my mum who's getting older. So those are all kind of relationships that need a lot of my energy. And then in the fundraising team, we've got 15 people at the moment in my team. So there's always things, you know, people need time and kind of that feeling that you just can't give it all. So having to make choices about where to direct time.
So saying no as well as an active struggle for you, perhaps knowing, is there anything to let go of as well? Okay, great. Abby, what have you got?
My tendency is to be quite forgetful, and I think probably that's because I take too much on, and that's probably a deeper thing, like other people have said, things like an inner critic and kind of trying to prove myself, a bit of imposter syndrome. So I feel like I just have to go, yeah, I can do that, yeah, I can do that. And then Katie, so one of the things was we were reading Atomic Habits as a team, to try and encourage my team, and we were doing a chapter a week and then talking about it in our meeting, and then I forgot because I couldn't see the book anymore, and we just stopped doing it, and nobody said we're not doing this anymore. We just stopped doing it, and then like last week I was like, oh, aren't we doing that anymore? Kind of reinstigated it. Katie said I could empower others in my team, so I could challenge one of my team's own things, and I could say like, okay, well, we need to do this as a team. You can own that, and then you can remind me that we're reading Atomic Habits or whatever it is.
Absolutely. You know, case in point, Claire, one of her, she brings so much, but one of her roles is to record the meetings because I know I will forget to do it. You know, so it's thinking, who is that reliable person who I can trust to hold this? And may enjoy it as well and may bring something extra to it as well. Rachel, I know, do you want to share? Have you got anything? I know it must have been hard for you with the extra thing you were pulled into, but just want to give you an opportunity to say something.
Yeah, no, I did it this morning. So, yeah, so my tendency is to not think, not put my ideas forward, sort of, I don't know, to sort of think that everyone else knows more than I do.
Yes.
Or,
yes.
you know,
Yes.
and the occasions when I haven't thought that or not realised that everyone knew more than me and I've put my ideas forward, it's always been a good result. So that's
Yes.
my action, is that when I have an idea or something like that, instead of thinking, oh, you know, keep that to myself, I'm going to think who's the most pertinent person, you know, to take that forward and to suggest the idea to them.
Excellent, love it. So much richness in the session today that has come from all of you. I completely agree with that there's been really good ideas. So keep going with the tools, keep working with them, keep teaching them. It's the best way to revise the tools and keep them alive, is to keep teaching them. Family members, kids love them, team members as well. Claire, final word from you before we hop off.
Yeah, just with the know yourself, lead yourself. None of us graduate from the school of self-awareness. You're not headed towards a specific destination. It's a continual loop of learning.
It is. Thank you. That's so helpful. Keep going. Don't be discouraged. Keep being intentional. Now, in 2 weeks' time, you are going to have a guest coach on the call, and it will be one of the best coaches I know. My husband, James Mears, is going to be stepping in. So you've probably seen him around. I don't know whether you know him, but I'm actually with another team at that time. So he's going to be here with Claire, who you know well. So don't miss it. It's going to be a really good one. Lots of love, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. See you in 2 weeks.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Karen.
Thanks, guys.